I trusted my brother more than anyone in the world. I thought he would protect me, guide me, and stand with me forever. But one night, something happened that broke my heart into pieces. He looked at me with eyes I could not understand, and the next morning, my life was not the same. Why did he do it? What secret was hiding behind his smile? Stay with me in this story. You will feel every emotion and also learn English with me. I grew up with my brother David in a small house where we shared everything, from food to secrets. He was older than me, stronger, and I trusted him more than anyone in the world. I believed he would always protect me, but life had a cruel way of proving me wrong. One night, I overheard him whispering on the phone. His voice was low, shaky, but clear enough for me to catch words like money, deal, and tonight. My heart pounded. Why would my brother speak in such a strange way, like a stranger planning something dangerous? The next morning, David acted normal, smiling at breakfast, asking if I wanted more bread. I stared at him, trying to find a clue in his eyes. But he looked calm, too calm, as if hiding a storm behind his smile. Later, I followed him secretly. He went to a cafe at the corner of our street and met two men in black jackets. They shook hands quickly and passed an envelope across the table. I could not see what was inside, but the way David slipped it into his pocket made me shiver with doubt. That night, I asked him directly, "David, who were those men?" He froze, then laughed, saying they were just old friends. But something in his voice felt false, like a story built on weak stones. I wanted to believe him, yet his phone buzzed again and he left the room quickly. I felt like a stranger in my own home. I checked his drawer while he was gone. Inside, I found papers with numbers, names, and strange marks. My hands shook as I realized my brother was hiding more than I could imagine. The days passed with heavy silence between us. David came home late, his clothes smelling of smoke and money. He avoided my questions, saying, "Don't worry, I'll take care of us." But I didn't feel safe anymore. One evening, I followed him again, this time all the way to an abandoned warehouse. Through a broken window, I saw him speaking with the same men. One of them handed him a photo, and when David held it under the dim light, my heart stopped. It was my photo, my face staring back at me. I nearly screamed, but I covered my mouth. Why would they give David my photo, and why did he keep it? My legs shook as I ran home before he could notice me. That night, I could not sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to his footsteps outside my door. Each sound felt like a warning, each silence like a trap. In the morning, he looked at me strangely, almost as if he knew I was watching him. He smiled too wide, poured me tea, and said, "Trust me, brother, everything will be fine." One afternoon, I met my childhood friend Michael. I told him a little about David's strange behavior, without revealing everything. Michael leaned closer and whispered, "Be careful. Sometimes the closest ones can hurt us the most." His words echoed in my mind like thunder. That evening, David came home with new shoes, new clothes, and expensive perfume. Where did he get all that money? We were always poor, struggling to pay bills. Now, suddenly, he was shining like a rich man. My suspicion grew stronger, wrapping around me like chains. Soon, I noticed small things disappearing from the house. My watch, my silver pen, even some cash from my drawer. When I asked David, he said I was careless, that I misplaced them. But I knew the truth he was taking them. I wanted to shout, to fight, but fear held me back. One stormy night, as rain hit the windows, I heard voices again. I pressed my ear to David's door. He was speaking to the men. "Tomorrow night," he whispered, "I'll bring him. You'll get what you paid for." My blood froze. I stumbled back, unable to breathe. Who was he planning to bring? Could it be me? The next day, David acted overly kind. He cooked breakfast, told me he loved me, and asked if I wanted to go for a walk at night. His words sounded like poison covered in sugar. I pretended to smile, but inside, I was screaming. That evening, I packed a small bag with some clothes, money I had hidden, and Michael's phone number. If my brother truly planned to sell me, I had to find a way to escape. At night, David knocked on my door. "Are you ready for the walk?" he asked softly. I forced a smile and nodded. The streets were empty, wet with rain. He walked beside me, humming an old tune we used to sing as kids. It almost broke my heart, but I remembered the photo in his hand, the whispers in the dark. Soon, he led me toward the abandoned warehouse. My chest tightened. I realized the trap was closing. I whispered a quick prayer in my heart, asking for strength to face whatever was coming. When we entered the warehouse, the two men were already there, waiting. They smiled coldly, their eyes scanning me from head to toe. One of them said, "So this is him." David nodded without looking at me. My heart shattered into pieces. My brother, my own blood, had brought me here like an item for sale. I stepped back, but the door behind me was already locked. David touched my shoulder and whispered, "Forgive me, brother," but I had no choice. His words cut deeper than any knife. My trust died instantly. The men handed David another envelope. He opened it, checked the money, and smiled. I couldn't believe my eyes. My brother was selling me for money, treating me like nothing more than a product. I shouted, "David, why?" His hands shook, but he didn't answer. The men pulled out ropes, ready to tie me. My heart raced. I kicked the table and ran, knocking over chairs and boxes. David shouted, "Stop him." I ran toward a broken window, glass cutting my hands, but I jumped out into the cold, wet night. My feet bled as I ran through the dark streets. Behind me, I heard shouts, footsteps, and David's voice calling my name. I didn't stop. I ran until my lungs burned, until I reached Michael's house. I banged on the door, crying for help. Michael opened, shocked at my state. I told him everything. His face turned pale. "We must go to the police," he said. But fear gripped me. Could I really tell the world that my brother, the boy I grew up with, had betrayed me in such a cruel way? Michael insisted, and soon we were at the police station. The officers listened, took notes, and promised to investigate. But deep inside, I still hoped David would change, that maybe it was all a mistake. Days passed. The police searched the warehouse but found nothing. The men were gone, and David disappeared too. My heart broke further. Every night, I stared at the empty chair at our dining table, remembering how we once laughed together. How could someone I loved so much trade me for money like a stranger? Weeks later, I received a letter at Michael's house. It had no name, only my address. With trembling hands, I opened it. Inside was a short note, "I'm sorry. I had debts, they forced me. Forgive me if you can." The handwriting was David's. My eyes filled with tears. Debts forced. Was it true or just another excuse? I didn't know, but I knew one thing: my brother had sold me. The pain of betrayal cut deep into my soul, leaving scars that would never heal, scars that even love could not erase. Months passed, and I tried to rebuild my life. Michael stood by me, helping me find work and strength. Yet, David's memory haunted me. Every laugh, every childhood story, every promise we once believed we were unbreakable. Now that bond was shattered, I often ask myself, if he returned, should I forgive him? Could I, or should I let him vanish like a ghost from my past? Sometimes, at night, I thought I heard his voice outside my window, calling my name, but when I looked, only shadows waited in silence. One rainy evening, while walking home, I saw a man at the corner. He wore a hood, but I knew that walk. My heart stopped. "David," I whispered. He turned, his face thin, eyes filled with regret. He didn't speak, just slipped an envelope into my hand and walked away. Inside was money, far more than before, and a note: "I paid my debt. I am free now. But I cannot face you. I will always love you, brother." My tears mixed with the rain. He had returned, but not to stay. From that day, I never saw David again. Some said he left the city, others whispered he joined those men again. I didn't know the truth. All I knew was that my brother's love was buried under greed, fear, and betrayal. Still, part of me longed for him, the brother who once held my hand when I was small, who once swore to protect me forever. That brother was gone, replaced by a man I could barely recognize. And yet, I couldn't erase the love I still carried for him. Years later, when I had built a small family of my own, my son asked me, "Papa, where is Uncle David?" My heart ached. I smiled sadly and said, "He is far away." But inside, I wondered if I had done enough to save him. Maybe if I had spoken sooner, maybe if I had seen the signs, maybe he would still be here, beside us. Life taught me a hard truth: that sometimes the people we love most can hurt us the deepest, and their choices can change our lives forever. Even now, I keep David's last note in my drawer. Sometimes, I read it when the nights feel heavy. His words still pierce my heart. "Forgive me if you can. I don't know if I ever can." Forgiveness feels like a mountain too high to climb. But hate is heavy too, and I cannot carry it forever. I live between love and anger, between memory and reality. My brother sold me for money, but he also gave me lessons I will never forget. Trust carefully, love deeply, and protect yourself even from those closest. So, I ask you now, dear listener, what would you do? If your own brother, the person you trusted with your life, betrayed you for money, would you forgive him? Or would you cut him from your heart forever? My story is not just about betrayal. It is about family, choices, and the sharp knife of trust. As you think about my pain, remember to learn English with every sentence and share your thoughts with me. Because sometimes the answers we seek lie not inside us, but in the voices of others.